So I really wanted to make this video to kind of talk about the things that have happened recently about AI art and the community's reaction to Ergojosh's video and then Adam's video and all of the things that have been happening online, and really talk about what is actually going on and why are we feeling this way. So, it all started with Ergojosh when he posted a video where he kind of showed how he uses AI in his process, and he's trying to do this in a way that he thinks is justifiable or ethical and try to include it in his process. He thinks that it is a tool. And really, when he posted this video, a lot of people reacted very badly towards it. We all understand the things that are going on with AI art, and maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that, but people reacted very negatively to that why is Ergojosh, this artist that we all watch and love and trusted for a long time, is now saying that he wants or is using AI in his process. Then Adam made a video about that, and you can watch his videos there, where he tried to talk or think how is Ergojosh really thinking and try and justify his actions. And I think I understand what was going on is that Ergojosh was trying to think that technology is always evolving and maybe we need to evolve with it. And he thought maybe there is an ethical way to use AI in our process of making art. And he thought that if the way he talks about it and the way he justifies it, that is okay. And obviously we know that the real issue with AI art or AI generative art is that it has stolen a lot of people's content without anyone's permission. And that is really the main issue, that a lot of professionals who have worked really hard and dedicated their lives towards art, their information and their art and their style and everything that they've worked on so hard is stolen and fed into these, AI softwares to create these things and able to regenerate images based on the things that they were stolen. And I get it. And I understand and I agree that it is very unethical. It is very unethical the way it is done and the way AI is doing things. And that's why I really don't use it. When it first came out, I just was curious of how does it work. So if this was 2 or 3 years ago, I just experimented a little bit with it. It's like, oh, cool, neat. But then after I researched a little bit more and realized what it really fed into it and the issues with it, I stopped using it completely. But I think there is another issue with a lot of artists, including myself. And it's not just the ethics problem. I think a lot of artists have that fear. Have that fear that, AI generative images is a real problem. And there's potential that it can, steal our, future, the things that we've been working really hard to do. We've been, including myself for years, I've been trying to study the fundamentals and working on it and learning and practicing and practicing and practicing. And then this software comes, you just put a bunch of prompts in it and it just creates it. And it almost feels like, you've been studying so hard for an exam and you're just studying. And then you go into it and there's that other kid that just comes in and cheats his way through the exam and gets the exact same mark or maybe even does better than you, but that they've cheated through the exam, but maybe people didn't know or even people knew or are accepting that this is okay. And this is really the issue. We don't understand that the ethics problem is one thing, but there's that fear problem. There's the fear that we have this passion for creating art, we have this need to go through the process and innovate and be creative. And all of that can be taken away from us. The fear that the problem is real, the fear that if this keeps going and going, maybe one day comes that this AI generative images is accepted as art. And then all the things that we've pursued and the dream of becoming a professional artist is taken away from us. And maybe even worse, we turn into those people that just use these prompts. We turn into these people that say, okay, we don't need to do the process and we just use AI generative tools to create these images and, go with it. And that really is a big fear. And I think, going through this and understanding this and feeling the same way that, there's this process that I enjoy, and there's, joy in going through the creative process. I know maybe the images always are not as great as we want it to be, but just going through it and learning and improving, there's so much joy in that itself. And I think we need to understand as artists that the final product is not the only thing. I think maybe a lot of people don't get that, and they only care about the final product or the final image. But for me, the process is as important as the final image. And I really enjoy the process, and I enjoy going through it. And that's why I think I need to continue doing this. And one way I can think of this is that traditional artists, people, for example, who do maybe oil paintings, don't have as much of a fear. Maybe they do, but it's not as strong compared to digital artists, because their final product also feels different. And maybe the general public appreciates that final product a little bit more, and they understand, or when they see the final product, they understand that there was a long process gone into it. And us as digital artists, maybe we feel that people don't understand that, and they don't appreciate that process that has gone into creating that final image. Now, I know there's a lot of uncertainty going on with AI, generative images, and all of these things that are happening in the world right now. There are lawsuits, I think, in Europe. There's lawsuits in the US against these softwares and these companies to try and, rectify this issue of, a lot of data, a lot of images, a lot of artists' work have been stolen and used to feed this thing without any compensation or permission from anyone. And I really hope that these lawsuits and these things take us to a place where we can rectify this ethics issue. But one more thing that I want to say, and I really hope we all remember, is that even if we get to a point where AI generative images or AI art is ethical or is done in an ethical way, that we continue on creating and making art the traditional way, or by just going through the process and doing the work itself. Because there is joy in the creative process, and the creative process can't just be replaced with a few prompts. So I hope that no matter what happens, no matter where AI generative images goes, and no matter where AI art goes, we remember that the process is what matters, and the joy in creating is what matters. And I know there's a lot more to it, but I really wanted to remind myself and remind everyone to continue on creating regardless of what happens. And we should be the voice. We should be the voice that the process really matters, and just putting in some prompts is not really the goal, or the end image or the end result is not only the goal, but the process itself is what matters. And we should always speak up and explain that, and try to educate the public that there's more to art than just the final image.